this last piece involves some audience participation, which is very minimal and not challenging. But what it is this opening section. Actually, we have a Peruvian cajon master here who would do a whole lot better at this than I would. But I sort of took this this rhythm on the cajon, which is this wooden drum, and made a piece out of it. Wow, I'm just rambling. I'm sorry. I should stop talking. So what I want you to do is I need some people to clap like this, which is it's actually in 3. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I want some other people to clap like this.
Track 5 is a piece called Elephant Walk, and many people may know, Boston natives may know that there's a great restaurant in town called The Elephant Walk. And I had a special relationship with this restaurant in that my wife and I made it our Valentine's Day restaurant. And there was one Valentine's Day where it was very, very snowy. I think it might have qualified as a blizzard. And my wife and I still decided that we were going to go to Elephant Walk. So we actually walked there from our place, which was outside of Coolidge Corner at the time. And it took quite a long time, and we were quite soaking wet when we got there. And but it was still a really great time, and it was really sentimental and meant a whole lot to both of us to actually be there, even though the weather was so terrible and everything. And so the piece is about not the restaurant or the food, although it's great. It's about the experience and the really warm feeling that you have when you have someone who's that close to you, and you can share experiences like that and adventures like that. I think I took the advice of a band director who's also a very prolific French horn player who's on, you'll hear him on a lot of the Olympic theme songs and stuff like that, named Jerry Peel. He was actually my middle school band director and then went on to be a band director at the University of Miami as well. I asked him how he ended up becoming a professional musician, and he said that when it was time to go to college, there was nothing else that he was really good at. And so he ended up just putting all of his energy towards music, and it just ended up being a really interesting career path and really exciting for him. For me, the way it started was I'd sit down at the piano and I'd kind of noodle around. That didn't really produce any compositions or any solid tunes for me. What it really came down to is my primary way of writing music is by hearing a melody in my head and letting it fester a little bit and develop in my mind, and singing it and whistling it and humming it, and then going to the piano and figuring out what it is, and then going to the manuscript paper and writing it down. So a lot of my tunes actually begin as very simple ideas that I hum, maybe, as funny as it sounds, in the shower, or I might wake up with a musical idea. And it could be something small or it could be something very complete. And that's my primary approach to composition. The Lily Pad is a great venue that has really been the home of so many different projects that I've performed in, and is really a great space for creativity and for experimentation. So I think overall Boston is a really great place to be a musician. I think it's also important though to travel as much as possible as a musician, because that's where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Vidrio is a song that's the first track on the album, sort of the opening track, and I considered actually having that be the title track, naming the album that. The inspiration from that song is a great musician in town who I play with a lot. His name is Vardan Ovsepian. He's Armenian, and he's also a piano and keyboard player. And I've played some really amazing concerts with him and his band, and I've always been really moved by his compositions and the experience of playing with him, and I could go on and on. But the idea was that I played a concert with him last January 2008, and it was one of my favorite concerts because I felt like I sort of opened up and started playing in a different way than I ever had before. And it was really due to his music, because I felt like I really related to it on the drums. And so the very next day after that great concert, I went to the piano and I had an idea, and it was very much so influenced by his music, because we had done a concert of maybe 8 or 10 of his songs. And sure, they're incredibly original, but they have certain themes that run throughout them. And he has a lot of left-hand patterns on the piano that he keeps going while doing amazing other things with his right hand and soloing or in the melodies. And so I started with this left-hand theme that was a line that just sort of started taking shape. And I realized right away that it was for him that I was writing this song, and that he was sort of the muse. And my wife said, "That sounds kind of like Philip Glass," when I was writing it. And I said, well, I'm not going to name it Glass, but in Spanish, vidrio is how you say glass, or vidrio is more, maybe not even more accurate pronunciation, but that's the idea. So I named it Vidrio because it turns out that Vardan Ovsepian, it starts with a V, and his last name is with an O. So I thought also that was a pretty great tribute to him, that the first letter and the last letter of the title were his initials.